NFC's fifth and final playoff spot. And for a franchise making great strides, Anthony Carter has helped the Vikes win by averaging over 25 yards on every catch, best in the NFL. And now we are live at RFK Stadium in our nation's capital, where the Redskins are champions of the NFC East. Now, normally the Dallas game would be the talk of this town, but Tom Landry and company were upstaged by Gorbachev. Or as the irrepressible Dexter Manley put it so diplomatically, the Russian is slowing things down. I wish he'd get the hell out of town.
Dexter Manley was also quoted as saying he's glad to be playing the Cowboys now because it's a chance to kick them while they're down. I'll have the story of Dallas's demise and how the franchise that was once America's team is now considered a major source of embarrassment within the Lone Star State.
The NFL owners suffered a setback this week on the legal front. And if it stands up, it will cost them millions of dollars. We'll be talking about that with the chairman of the Management Council, Hugh Cole.
Fans and the press, but even from the team's general manager and its new owner. And Irv Cross has more on that story.
Well, a lot of fireworks in Dallas, Brent. You know, things are so bad these days down in Big D that Cowboys owner Bum Bright said that if he had known what he was getting into, he wouldn't have paid $100 million for this team. And as for America's coach, the worst part is knowing that there is no easy solution.
They want you to rebuild, but they want you to win while you're rebuilding. And that's not easy to do sometimes.
At one time, it looked easy. Back in the 1970s, Dallas made it to the Super Bowl 5 times. But after winning all those championships, management became complacent.
You know, when you have success for a lot of years like we did, you get in a little bit into the syndrome of if it isn't broken, don't fix it.
Well, it's broken now, and the team faces questions of health, leadership, and ability at quarterback. There's uncertainty about whether or not to trade Tony Dorsett. There's doubt that players such as Too Tall Jones and Randy White can perform up to par for much longer. And what was once only whispered is now talked about openly in Dallas. Will Tom Landry, currently in the first year of a 3-year contract, be around to see it through? You haven't been asked by anybody to step down, have you?
No, not yet.
Would you anticipate it before the 3-year period?
I don't ever anticipate anything.
Can you ever envision yourself asking Tom to step down, though?
No, we don't have that type of relationship. I would have a hard time envisioning myself. If that time ever came, he would be the first one that would recognize it and would say something.
Can you foresee any wholesale personnel changes on the team?
No, I don't think wholesale personnel changes ever help you. Before you start making changes, you better learn where you're going to find somebody that's better or what the change is really going to benefit you.
Finding unheralded players such as Calvin Hill or Dwayne Thomas in the draft is not as easy as it once was. For today, every team scouts the Yales and West Texas States aggressively. And due to their past success, the Cowboys have had poor drafting position throughout this decade. But with the way they're going, at least this season, they're bound to end up with a high pick.
This is not a good year to have a high pick in the draft. There aren't really a lot of difference between the 3rd player picked in the draft and the 25th player picked in the draft. Not that they're not good players, but they're just not impact football players that you'd like to have.
It can be safely said that Dallas is no longer America's team. The Chicago Bears under Mike Ditka have captured the national spotlight. And to make matters even worse, thanks to the way they've been playing lately, it appears the Cowboys are not even Dallas's team anymore. The smallest crowd in the history of Texas Stadium was on hand this past weekend to watch the team lose to the 2-9 Atlanta Falcons.
I don't blame the fans. We're the ones that have the responsibility as far as the fans showing up.
It's been almost 10 years since the Cowboys last won a Super Bowl. Ironically, to become what they once were, they might have to forget what they once were.
We can't dream about what the Cowboys used to be. We got to go out and make the future. You know, the future's not just going to fall on you. You got to get out there and make it.
Fire Tom Landry, they wouldn't.
One more round. As the Redskins cruise toward the playoffs, their explosive offense will be lacking the services of an injured Art Monk. But Washington is versatile enough to withstand such a setback. While they're in complete command of their division, nothing would please them more than to thoroughly thrash their foes from Dallas today. And prepare for a war with the Redskins. We're live at sold-out RFK Stadium on an absolutely gorgeous December afternoon. I'm Pat Summerall here with John Madden. The Washington Redskins have clinched the NFC Eastern Championship. The others have a mathematical chance of getting into the playoffs, but it's highly unlikely. With that in mind, John, what do the Redskins want to accomplish today?
Well, we were talking to Joe Gibbs yesterday, and he said that they have 3 goals. And the first one is to get the home field advantage. And to do that, to get 1 game at home, they really have to win these final 3 games. And then he said the second thing they want to do is play consistently. They've clinched the division, but they haven't really been playing well. And he said he would like to get that consistency in the offensive line and the running game. Then the third thing is to peak at the end of the season. Because the teams that go to the Super Bowl are always the teams that are playing best at the end of the season.
And teams coached by Joe Gibbs have always been tough in December. What about this man? What about Tom Landry?
Well,
the turmoil in Dallas.
And he's had a tough week here. They've lost 3 in a row. There's been talk from the owner, Bum Bright, about Tom Landry, but Tex Schramm, Tom Landry, the whole Cowboy team. And that's what worries the Redskins, that these guys, they don't have anything to lose now. That they may come out here and be real loose and throw everything at them.
They're going to have to operate. They'll have the chance, I should say, to operate on offense first. Ali Haji Sheep will kick off for the Washington Redskins. Darryl Clack and Kevin Martin back deep for Dallas. Kelvin Martin. Good kick in the direction of Darryl Clack and chases him about 8 yards deep in the end zone, where he downs it from there. Danny White will open at quarterback. Another of the veterans who've been under fire in Dallas. This is the defensive line he'll be looking at. Mann and Manley, the defensive ends, and Dave Butson get Darrell Grant in the middle of the front 4. Linebackers Kaufman, Olkowitz in the middle, and Monty Coleman on the right side. And the secondary, and a good young secondary, Green and Wilburn the corners, Bowles and Walton the safeties. Danny White, 1st and 10, Dallas at their own 20. Emmy Newsom is the lone setback. Herschel Walker lined up in the slot to the left. Cosby, the tight end from White. Olkowitz on the tackle, but a first down Dallas. Danny White, the quarterback. Newsom and Walker open in the backfield. Kelvin Edwards and Mike Renfro, the wide receivers. And a rebuilt offensive line. Darrell Smith, Nate Newton, Rafferty, the veteran center. Crawford Kerr, Kevin Gogan, and Doug Cosby, who just caught the pass, 1st and 10. Dallas operating from their own 33 now. Danny White, the quarterback. Walker and Newsom switch sides. Cosby comes back in motion. Renfro is out of bounds in front of the Redskin bench, but enough for another first down and a pickup of 10.
It's interesting that the Cowboys come out passing. Tom Landry says they want to control the line of scrimmage. You always think of the running game, but the other way you can do it is you can do it with a passing game. Start off 2 passes, get the defense off balance, start off with solid pass protection, then come to the run later.
1st and 10 Dallas. Now they've moved up to their own 44-yard line. Hand off right side, Walker. A gain of 1. Alvin Walton and Mel Kaufman make the stop.
Yeah, that's why the Redskins are so tough to run against now, is because of Alvin Walton. You know what they do is they get him up there, and he's kind of half defensive back, half linebacker. And they get him up, and that gives them 8 men up in front. And I think right now, watching Walton play the last few weeks, he's probably the best strong safety in the league.
He made some spectacular plays 2 weeks ago against the Giants. Here's White going for Edwards. And incomplete, covered by Barry Wilburn. That'll bring up a 3rd down situation. The Redskins make their pass rushing changes.
Barry Wilburn there, we see he's tied for the NFL lead in interceptions, is probably the most improved player on the Redskin team. You know, last year he played some at corner and everyone would pick on him. And this year, because of that experience from last year, they're picking on him and they're finding there's not much there anymore.
That's a good young secondary. White out of the shotgun, gets it upfield, intended Renfro incomplete. The Cowboys will have to punt. Darrell Green, the defender.
I think Danny White forced that one a little. There are about 4 Redskin defenders around there.
Eric Yarber is back deep for Washington, checking out the win. Mike Saxon back to punt for Dallas. Plenty of time and a good kick by Saxon. It'll hang up there. Yarber breaks out of the pack for a moment, gets up to the 30, and the Redskins will take over from there. 34-yard punt, 7-yard return. Rafferty down to make the stop. Brooks, White, and Jeffcoat up front. New middle linebacker Ron Burton, Hegman and Rohr, the outside backers. And in the secondary, Everson Walls and Ron Francis, the cornerbacks. Downs and Bates, the 2 safety men. 1st and 10 Redskins at their own 30-yard line. Jay Schrader has George Rogers behind him. Donnie Warren on the move. Schrader back to throw it on 1st down. The pump fake. He has Ricky Sanders open over the middle. A pickup of 7. Everson Walls on the stop. Schrader, the quarterback. Rogers behind him. Ricky Sanders, Gary Clark, the wide receivers. Don Warren and Clint Didier, the 2 tight ends. Jacoby, McKenzie, Bostic, R.C. Thielman, and Mark May up front. Cowboy injured on the first play is Mike Hegman. And that's one of the places that they are very thin. Lockhart gone, now Hegman.
You know, the first Cowboys, yeah, they came in today's game and they of course used 3 linebackers in their 4-3 defense, and they only have 5 guys active. So I would imagine Jesse Penn will come in. But they're starting Ron Burton, who was a free agent rookie, then an outside linebacker. They're starting him at middle linebacker, and now Mike Hegman goes down early.
And you're right, Jesse Penn has replaced him, and Tom Landry over with the technicians over on the sideline having problems with his communication up to the press box to Paul Hackett.
And of course, we know the NFL rule. If his phone doesn't work, his communication, then the Redskins have to take it away from their sideline.
2nd and 2. The handoff is to Rogers, and Rogers barrels for the 1st down. Jeff Rohr made the stop. Rogers got 5.
Well, that's one area that the Redskins were talking about in their consistency, as he said, is to be able to get a running back and keep him in there. You know, George Rogers has really been hurt all year. He had a turf toe early, then he had a groin pull, and to get him back and going, last week he had 134 yards against the Cardinals.
And now they say he is just about 100% healthy. And the figures show. On 1st down, it's a fake to Rogers. A fake reverse for Gary Clark. Incomplete. He had a step. And maybe more.
You know, Jay Schrader is an amazing guy. I think that he is so strong, and early in the game he comes out and he's so pumped up that he always overthrows receivers early in the game. In fact, sometimes it goes all the way through the 1st half. And the difference between Jay Schrader in the 1st half and the 2nd half, when he finally settles down, is like night and day, like 2 different guys.
That's why he was replaced a few weeks ago.
That's a tough thing for the coach. Is it something he should replace, or is it something he'll work himself out of?
Well, Joe Gibbs said yesterday it's just something that I felt I had to do when he put Doug Williams in. 2nd down and 10. Redskins from their own 43. Schrader back to throw it. Almost picked off by Ron Francis out of the hands of Gary Clark. John, here's what you were talking about.
Well, you know, the 5 full games that he has started and played the whole game, you can see in the first half, he's averaging 78 yards of passing, and in the second half, almost double that number. I think part of that is Jay Schrader. I think the other part is good coaching. I think the Redskins probably make better adjustments than anyone else at halftime.
And part of it, too, I think, John, has to be that they've been behind and had to throw in the second half. Kelvin Bryant has replaced Rogers. Warren moves and stays in the block. Schrader stays in the pocket. Again, it's for Clark, and again, it's overthrown.
I'll tell you one thing, though. I think that this guy has an abundance of confidence. Jay Schrader, I'm talking about. He walks off the field. It doesn't even look like it bothers him. Just another Sunday. This is how I start every week, he says.
Steve Cox to do the punting for Washington, and Kelvin Martin back deep for Dallas. Cox has a very, very strong leg. Martin at the 10. Gets 1 block. Got 2 blocks. Flag on the play. They may not have been legal blocks. Way back up at midfield is one of the flags. 47-yard punt against the Redskins.
That's in the area where someone probably left early. I would think the Cowboys would make him kick it over again because they don't want to start inside the 20, and that's about as much leg as Cox has.
Referee is Gordon McCarter.
Ineligible downfield, number 58 on the kicking team. 5-yard penalty, repeat 4th down.
They'll make him kick it again, as you said. No score yet. 11:35 left in the first quarter. Washington and Miami usually are the fewest penalized teams in the NFL, and that again is another sign of good coaching.
Yeah, that was one stat that I never led the league in when I was coaching, unless you read the paper upside down.
Steve Cox now standing back at about his own 23, and Martin moves up to the 15. This one's not as good as the first one. Martin has to let it bounce, and it's going to go out of bounds at about the 25. So the strategy from Dallas viewpoint at least paid off on that one. A 38-yard punt that time.
Guys, but let's watch one of the outside guys. Here's Dennis Woodbury here. Now, the other team, the Cowboys, are going to put 2 guys on him. So what he's going to try and do is you have to take one of them on to beat and then get by him. So what he's going to try and do here is fake this way and come back this way. Now, of course, it doesn't work. And look what that outside guy, he's the only guy that can go when the ball snap, but look at what he has to go through. There's Victor Scott on him and Everson Walls. He didn't get 5 yards down the field.
He was not involved in the coverage in any way. First down, Cowboys at their own 25. The pitch is back to Walker, who loses the ball. And the Redskins come up with it. Charles Mann recovers Walker's fumble. He never had possession.
I always thought that was one of the toughest things to do is for the guy to be coming forward and get a pitch. I always thought if you're going to get a pitch, the guy ought to be going sideways or backwards. But you watch what happens here. Herschel Walker's coming into the line. So he's coming into the ball as it's pitched to him. And again, he doesn't get it in his hands out in front. He lets it get into his shoulder pad, and it just bounces off.
The pitch was a little bit high. My question is like yours, John. If you're going to do that, why not hand it to him?
I always did that. I always thought that if you're running between tackles and you're not going parallel, if you're going into the line, you hand it off. If you want to get it outside quicker, then you pitch it, but the guy goes parallel.
So it'll It'll be Redskins ball at the Dallas 26, 1st and 10. 11:19 left to play in the first quarter, and the Redskins get the first break.
Here's where the Redskins would like to have John Riggins. Remember in those days when they had number 44 in there, they'd get on to 25 and hand it to him about 5 or 6 times, and they'd have a touchdown.
And they'd burn up 5 minutes or so.
You know, and since then, they've really never been the same type of team.
Ernie Stotner checking with Gordon McCarter about something. I'm not sure what.
I think it's that headset thing again, Pat, saying that theirs doesn't work, and that if theirs doesn't work, then they have to take the Redskins out.
Dallas's telephones went out temporarily. They're back in. No problem.
The referee, Gordon McCarter, just said Dallas's telephones went out temporarily, but now they're working again. So it's 1st and 10 at the Dallas 26. Jay Schrader. George Rogers, the deep back. Dallas changes their defense. That's Didier, the move man this time. Schrader fakes to Rogers. Going to work deep. Has Clark. Out of bounds at about the 1-yard line. A pickup of 25. Michael Downs was the Dallas defender.
Let's watch Gary Clark. He starts on the left side. He's just running a cross pattern. The closer you get to the goal line, the more difficult it is to run deep up the field because you have shorter yardage. So the way you use your speed is to go across the field. We see Clark going all the way across the field from left to right and catching the ball at the other side.
And it's 1st and goal at the 1. Rogers and Reggie Branch now are the 2 running backs. Rogers. No. Hit right at the line of scrimmage by Ron Burton, the new middle linebacker. No gain.
Now Rogers had a lead in there, but the lead didn't get the middle linebacker. Watch the play. We see Didier coming in motion. There's the lead block there, and then Burton from his middle linebacker spot sneaked in.
Burton replacing Eugene Lockhart. Bigger than Lockhart. Certainly not as experienced, but that's a fine tackle. 2nd and goal from the 1. Rogers again. Touchdown, Redskins. Schrader will hold for Ali Haji Sheikh. I asked the Sheikh yesterday who's the best holder he ever had, and he said Scott Bruner. I said why? He said because he had long arms and he could handle anything. Schrader's big as Bruner was.
This is the thing that Joe Gibbs was looking for. 1, a running back who's healthy, and 2, an offensive line working together like the old Hawks did.
10:29. Took just 3 plays after they recovered Herschel Walker's fumble. George Rogers took it in from a yard out. Ali Haji Sheikh's kick to Darrell Clack. Clack out to about the 24.
Let's watch the touchdown again. Here's George Rogers. Now watch Mark May here and R.C. Thielman. They're going to pick out one guy. They're going to double Too Tall Jones. And that's the place that Rogers is going to come in behind. But they get Too Tall going back and dump him here in the end zone. So what they do is the center's going to block onside Bostic. Then they double team one guy. See the double team? Boom, 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 boom. They just turn him over. And Rogers gets right in behind him.
1st and 10 Dallas from their own 24. Danny White back to throw. The screen pass is to Newsom. Newsom, the Dallas 1st down outside the 40. Stopped by Todd Bowles. Pickup of 15.
I think of all the teams in the NFL, the Cowboys probably still do this better than anyone. That's run a screen pass. You see it develop. They let the rushman come, and then they pull their lineman down the line, get the running back, in this case, Timmy Newsome, in behind him, and just follow that wedge down the field.
Rafferty got the good block on Alvin Walton. First down, Cowboys at their own 41. Tony Dorsett in the backfield to the Cowboys, and he swings wide to the right. Dorsett gets into Dallas territory. A pickup of 9, stopped by Wilburn and Walton.
I think the Cowboys felt last week that they should have played Tony Dorsett more. You know, they started playing him in the first half, and he was successful. Then they didn't play him in the second half.
Injured Redskin on the play is Monty Coleman, starting right outside linebacker. Kurt Govia will take his place if Coleman can't make it back.
So that's one area that has really been playing well for the Redskins, and that's their defense. And of course, Monty Coleman is a big part of that. Monty Coleman on one side, Mel Kaufman on the other side. You see that Jack Kent Cook gets up and says, "What's going on down there?"
The owner of the Redskins checking out Monty legal about it.
Well, we can see it right here, Pat. He's right there to the right of the screen, number 51. And as he gets hit, he just backs out. And it looks here, watch, he grabs his left hamstring area, then his right hamstring area. So it looks like he either pulled both hamstrings at the same time or got a cramp in both legs at the same time.
In any case, number 51 was the injured Redskin who just walked off. He and Alvin Walton both limped off. It'll be 2nd and 1 as the Cowboys come out of the huddle in Washington territory at their 49. Newsome and Dorsett are the two runners, and Walker is split wide to the right. Newsome, the ball carrier, is hit by Darrell Grant before he even got back to the line of scrimmage. A flag on the play.
And it looks like they're going to call Tony Dorsett for illegal motion. Now, he can go in motion before the ball snaps.
Illegal motion. 2 men moving before the snap. Offense. Penalty declined. 3rd down.
So what he did was okay, because watch Tony Dorsett. He's the deep man in the eye. See, now the reason he can't go early now is because there's already one guy going in motion. So what Dorsett did was okay, but because there was 2 of them, that made it illegal.
Cosby was the other man. Monty Coleman, by the way, headed for the Redskin locker room. Here's White back to throw. Herschel Walker will have the first down, a pickup of 7.
Herschel Walker, you talk about a valuable guy. They line him up all over the place, and you see that when you take the receptions that he has, 557 yards, then when you add his running, he's the biggest threat that these Cowboys have. Sometimes he's the only threat that they have. But they line him up all over the field,
which he doesn't necessarily like. Here's White back to throw it again. Intended for Cosby, who got one hand on it but couldn't hang on. Alvin Walton.
I'll tell you, let's watch Walton on that play. You see where he is. He's standing up in there. If it's a run, he can plug a hole. Now when he sees it's a pass, he can drop straight back in the middle and then react to the ball. He sees it go into Cosby. Now, he's not going to get the ball. He said, "I'll take Cosby's belt buckle."
The word on Mike Hegman, by the way, is for the Cowboys is that he has a bruised calf. Don't know if he'll be back or not. Charles Mann bolts into the Cowboy backfield, grabs Danny White. Monty Coleman has gone in to be x-rayed for bruised ribs. flag down on that last play.
Encroachment, number 71 defense.
On Charles Mann.
You're watching Charles Mann this year. He looks a lot quicker than he did in the past.
Snap, still second down.
And Joe Gibbs was telling us yesterday that of the defensive linemen, Charles Mann has been his most consistent player.
Not as vocal as Manley, but much more consistent. Kelvin Martin split wide to the left and Renfro is wide right. Walker comes in motion. White back to throw. Gets it outside quickly to Walker. Incomplete. He dropped it. For an NFL update, now let's see. The Cowboys are in the first quarter, and it's 7-0 Washington. Here comes Mann again into the backfield. He is quicker, isn't he?
Yeah, I mean, on those two plays he beat the ball. He's pointing at Kevin Gogan, though, the offensive tackle, saying that he moved.
Kevin Gogan is 6'7" and 310. And if he moves, he'd get your attention.
Sometimes you just jiggle when you're that big.
Encroachment, 71 offense. Defense.
Well, of course, that's the second one on Mann.
The second encroach. That's going to be close to a first down. It has to be a first down, doesn't it? 2 5-yard penalties.
Yeah, I don't know how they can be short on the sticks.
5-yard penalties make it 1 and 10.
That's right.
Thank you.
What, 5 and 5 is 10? Nah. Yeah, it is. They were going to give them 2 5-yard penalties and have them end up in short yardage.
Third down.
You could go 5 and 5 is 10. 2 times 5 is 10. You can do that a number of ways.
Oh, it's a first down, Dallas. They're at the Redskin 33. Handoff is to Walker, and Walker is down near the 30. Charles Mann made the tackle now. He encroached twice, and now he makes the tackle.
Mann wants some action. He's over there, and you get a defensive lineman on a passing down, and of course he's trying to beat that tackle on the setup. And now they figured they got Mann all upset, they'll just run right at him. Because it doesn't do any good when he makes a play like that. Watch him down there in the bottom. He just takes on Gogan, works out, and then comes in and finishes off Walker.
2nd and 7. Walker's the deep back, and Newsome is in front of him. He hands to Walker, and Walker barrels down before he's stopped by Alvin Walton. 6 or 7. Going to be close to another Dallas first down.
That time, instead of Gogan blocking on Charles Mann, they turned out with big Crawford Kerr, and Kerr just pushed him out. Let's see if we can see it here. Here's Crawford Kerr here. He just goes boom, then the ball comes right inside there. Kerr's the guard, steps out, blocks him out, and then that gives him the hole to run in.
They bring out the sticks to measure. About a foot short. Just over 7 minutes remaining first quarter. And the Redskins leading 7-0. A 1-yard touchdown run by George Rogers.
This is the type of drive that Tom Landry likes, where you have good mixture, you pass a few, you run a few, you pick up a couple of penalties, you keep the thing going, don't have 3rd and long, but end up, if you're going to on third down, have it be real short.
They go with two tight ends, Chandler on the right side, Cosby on the left. That's Edwards in motion. The handoff is to Timmy Newsom, and that should be enough. Govea made the stop.
Well, I guess the phones are working now. See what they do. You know, we see more and more of that in the NFL where you have two guys signaling. That was Paul McDonald and Steve Pellor, both backup quarterbacks. Because teams are starting to get the signal, steal the signals and get them into their defense. So they have one live guy doing it and then one who's putting up a dummy call.
Here's White back to throw. No place to go, and now Danny White is cut down at the 20 by Alvin Walton again.
You know, I watched that Alvin Walton, and I said I think right now that he's the best strong safety in the NFL. And the thing that he does best is tackle in the open field. I mean, when he gets them and he zeroes in on them and he sights them, watch that hole Danny White sees. He makes a nice move there. Now watch Alvin Walton in the open field. That guy is going to go down.
White got two, make it 2nd and 8. Redskins on a blitz. Outside Renfro, and Renfro out of bounds at about the 12. Darrell Green, the defender. But a gain of 10, and that will move the sticks again. Another Dallas first down.
You know, like Tom Landry says about Mike Renfro, just one word, pro. And you can just see that. I mean, they have that. They need the first down. He gets just in front of that first down marker when he catches the ball.
He's had as good a year this year as he's ever had.
It's going to be his last year. He's already said before he started he's going to retire.
I wonder if he still will. As good a year as he's had.
I'll tell you, that's not a bad time to do it.
That's
retire
right.
after a good year rather than 1 year too long.
White back to throw it again. In the corner for Walker, flag on the play. White was hit by man just as he let it go.
You know, the interesting thing, we talk about man and how close he's getting to the quarterback and jumping offside, but we haven't heard from Dexter Manley yet, and he's playing against a rookie free agent in Darrell Smith.
Darrell Smith came in a couple of weeks ago and did an excellent job after Mark Tuinei went down.
And remember, we had him in the replacement
Hitting
game.
the right? Hands, number 66, offense. 10-yard penalty, repeat the down.
66, that's Kevin Cogan. He's the guy that's blocking man. So they're taking turns. Man got 2 penalties, and then Cogan takes 1.
They got something going on. First and 20. Cowboys at the Redskin 21. 4:20 left to play in the first quarter. Newsom had a message for Dorsett. The handoff is to Dorsett. And Tony gets down to about the 11-yard line. A pickup of 9 and a fine run.
I think that's what Newsom told him. Start into the left, Tony, and then cut back right. You know, we were talking to Dorsett here about a month ago, and he says when he gets the ball and he comes into the line right there, he sees all 11 men. He said he sees the whole defense. And I believe that. I mean, there's some guys that have that periphery vision that's just amazing. And Tony Dorsett is one of those guys. That's why you never get a clean hit on him.
2nd and 11. White again gives to Dorsett. Dorsett inside the 5. Stopped by Todd Bowles, but another gain of 9.
See the same type of thing. Here's Tony Dorsett. Now, look at those eyes. I mean, he's looking there, and then out of the sides, he can see the whole thing. Then they give him the draw. Now watch, he sees and feels the defense, starts left, cuts back right, comes right, cuts back left. Because he sees the angles where those guys are coming from.
3rd and 3 make it. You know, the amazing thing, John, to me was he says he practices that when he's driving the car.
Just looking and straight ahead and then seeing how far back he can see on both sides.
Timeout, Dallas. The crowd, as always here, very loud and very enthusiastic.
You know, this third and long, when you get 3rd and 3, that's really long yardage. So this is a passing situation for the Cowboys.
New Orleans continues to surprise a lot of people, but they're a pretty good team. Buffalo over Indianapolis. New England beating the Jets. That's a strange team. There's Kevin Gogan. That gives you. He fill up the helmet.
He weighs about 315 pounds. And that's one thing that, you know, we were talking to Tom Landry last night, and I think there's a couple things he feels good about. And one, that he's developing a lot of big, strong offensive linemen. He likes his running backs, of course, with Herschel Walker. Likes his wide receivers that he has. And he says in the draft, he says we need some defense. That's what we have to pick up.
Total offense, Dallas, 97 yards. This drive alone, they've had the ball 7.5 minutes in this drive. Walker and Newsom. This is White to throw. Intended Renfro, incomplete. Broken up by Darrell Green.
There's the guy who has the emotion to play this game, Darrell Green. I think that's what it's all about. I mean, you talk about a fiery guy, a scrappy guy. He has all that speed, but just look at those eyes. Those are happy eyes. I mean, those are eyes of a guy who enjoys playing the game and plays it the way you should. I mean, he has fun. He goes out there, it's a game. We're playing somebody.
He really does. He knows how to laugh. Roger Ruzek with Steve Pallure holding. This will be a 22-yard field goal attempt to get the Cowboys on the board. 2:55 left to play in the first quarter. The Redskins leading 7-0. They went 72 yards and took 7 minutes and 37 seconds off the clock.
It's been so long that the offense, we see Eric Yarber there, they have to stretch him out again, get him going. We're putting some air in him.
What good was the warm-up?
Yeah, that's right. They've been sitting there. Things start tightening up. You have combinations and stuff.
Get a lot of them.
We'll have another warm-up.
Ruzek's 22-yard field goal. There's a story of a Dallas drive. Helped out by 2 5-yard penalties for jumping offside by Eric Mann, and then Kevin Gogan got caught holding Eric Mann, and Charles Mann, not Eric Mann. What am I saying? He works for us.
But those two guys had a heck of a battle all the way down the field, didn't they? Gogan and Mann.
Ruzek's kick goes to Clarence Verdun. And a flag on the play after a return of 18 yards. Everson Walls made the stop. Been a busy first quarter for Gordon McCarter.
Illegal block from behind, number 54 receiving team. 10-yard penalty, 1st and 10.
There you see it right there in the middle of the picture. I tell you, that is so difficult on these kicks, because you start and you have a guy in your sights, and then when he moves a little, now you're blocking his side or his back.
All he has to do is turn just a bit, and you're illegal.
Seems like on half the kicks they have that penalty.
Rogers straight ahead. It's 2nd and 2. And Rodgers again gets the carry. And he gets the yardage necessary for the first down. He's again stopped by Rohr after a gain of 7.
This is the type of thing that the Redskins want to do. Here you see the I formation. Now, that's not a fullback in front of Rodgers. That's Clint Didier there. So what they do is they just go man blocking. They have the lead outside. Rodgers can just pick a hole. He runs up in there, then he sees a soft spot to his inside and breaks it in. But the Redskin offensive line won that battle on the line of scrimmage.
1st and 10, Washington. Schrader back to throw it. Gets it outside to Donnie Warren. Vince Albritton on the stop.
Yeah, here's their changing of the offense. You know, the Redskins, if you look in 82 and 83, when they went to the Super Bowl, they were 54% of the time they ran the ball, 46% passing. Then in 83, they were 57% running. They were really a running team, 43% passing. And now they're only 48% running and 52% passing.
There's one of the reasons.
I think that's a big reason, because the Redskins in those Super Bowl years, they'd just take the ball. As I said, they'd get it there in the 25 or 30 and just give it to Riggins 5 or 6 times, and boom, then they start playing the Redskin fight song. There was a man. There is a man.
You're not kidding. He's got on his Kansas leather sweater from his collegiate days. Yes, sir. He was a player. And again, there's a problem apparently with the phone system on the Dallas sideline.
We're having a telephone problem.
That's Ernie Stautner, the defensive coordinator of the Cowboys, who seems to be having the problem.
And as you pointed out before, if the Dallas phones go out and they can't get them fixed, then the Redskins have to not utilize their phone system. Charlie Taylor in the foreground. Joe Gibbs behind him in the glasses.
I don't see any headsets on that Redskins sideline, because Joe Gibbs has already taken his headset off. There it is. Don Burrow was next to him.
Encouraging report from the X-ray facility here at RFK Stadium. The X-rays on Monty Coleman were negative.
There's an operation being done right on the sideline where Darrell Grant, that is a defensive tackle, just blew out his pants. He got that knee thing, and stuff just started coming out of the pants, so they just sewed it up right there.
That was a big thread. And the crowd started to get a little bit upset about the delay. Dave Butts, nothing bothers him.
Well, it shouldn't. He's the oldest active player in the NFL.
And he is active. Now the phone problem, they say to us, has been corrected. That's the oldest active helmet in the NFL. I'll guarantee you that. Dallas 2 up in phone problems. 2nd down and 4. Redskins at their own 33, leading 7-3. Schrader on counter tray. Rodgers behind May and Thielman gets 4 yards.
You know, that's the old counter tray, as you called it, where what they're going to do is they pull the off guard and the off tackle, pull them this way, the back starts this way, and then gets in behind them. So we'll see Thielman, R.C. Thielman, the right guard and the right tackle pull to the left. See, here they come. Rodgers just gets right in behind them and makes that cut.
The U.S. Olympic Training Centers, the heartbeat of America, today's Chevrolet, and by RCA, the most trusted name in electronics.
Pat Summerall, John Madden, the Dallas Cowboys against the Washington Redskins in our nation's capital. RFK Stadium sold out. 3rd and 1 Redskins. They're at their own 37. Jay Schrader, the quarterback. Rodgers hit right at the line of scrimmage. I don't know if he made it or not. Kevin Brooks and Jeff Rohr, Bill Bates all converge right there. Brooks was the first man to hit him. That's going to be close.
Well, again, when you get down here, you see how tight everyone gets in there. You see how tight the defensive line is, the offensive line. Defensive line trying to get penetration, offense trying not to give up. That one, the defensive line won in the penetration battle. I would think that shouldn't be a first down.
They brought the sticks out to measure. That is not a first down.
Yeah, that's the thing. Your offensive line has to win that battle. On that one, the Redskin offensive line didn't win it. The Cowboy defensive line won.
Led by Brooks. Joe Gibbs obviously unhappy about that. Steve Cox comes in. First kick went 37 yards. Kelvin Martin back deep for the Cowboys.
They even brought in an extra coach. Remember, they brought in Paul Lanham a couple of weeks ago. He's still here with them. Joe Gibbs was saying that's one of the problems that they had, or one of the biggest problems they had. You always think of your offense and your defense, and sometimes you forget that special teams can lose games for you, too.
Lanham is going to stay the rest of the year. The Redskins
field, number 58 kicking team, penalty decline, first down.
Well, you heard the call. And the Cowboys decline it. 7-3. We're in the second quarter now with 14-12 left to play. Washington leads. They recovered a fumble by Herschel Walker at the 26-yard line and took it in from there in 3 plays. Renfro comes out wide to the left. Newsome comes out with him. Kelvin Edwards is split wide to the right. To Walker. Pass to Cosby, and Cosby got some room. Todd Bowles knocked him out of bounds, but he gets 28 yards and a Dallas first down.
Yeah, there's a guy who's always been one of the best receiving tight ends in the league, and it seems like the last couple of years the Cowboys have gotten away from him. And I think anytime you have a target like that big, that you have to get the ball to him. Because you can always see him in there, you can always find him, and he can always get those first downs, that possession type thing. I think one of the Cowboys' offensive problems they've had is getting away from Doug Cosby.
Here's Walker over right side, lunges down to about the 40. Gain of 3 yards, stopped by Alvin Walton again. 13:45 left to play in the first half. The Eagles-Dolphins tied. New England overwhelming the Jets. Cleveland over Cincinnati at 2nd and 7. Washington leading Dallas 7-3. White back to throw, has a man. Pass incomplete. It's Rod Barksdale. Darrell Green on the coverage, but it bounced off the ground.
You know, one thing that the Cowboys have been doing, watch Dexter Manley here. He's going to start, Grant's coming this way, Manley's going to go in this way, but they've really done a good job. That's Darrell Smith, the left tackle. You see him, he starts in, Newton gets him there, and then Darrell Smith just goes out on Grant. they do is they zone now, but they're doing a good job on that left side of keeping Grant and Manley off the quarterback.
Lilja is the center now for Dallas, and he was part of that blocking as well. Here's White. Renfro, the intended receiver, but he fell down. When he made his cut, he just slipped to the ground. Saxon comes on to punt. Eric Yarber goes back deep, standing at his own 10-yard line, number 80 for the Redskins. Saxon will punt from his 40.
Remember when they used to have Stickum? Now they all have those gloves, and the gloves have the same type of thing as Stickum on them.
Just doesn't look as bad. Saxon hangs it high. They let it bounce. It hit somebody in the head. That's Jeff Rohr rolling in the end zone.
I think that's who it hit in the head. I think it hit Jeff Rohr in the head. Whap! Ball hits him in the head. Things are falling on me in this place. I'll do a somersault.
Now there's an athlete. George Rogers, the deep back for the Redskins on 1st and 10. Schrader fakes to him. Looking upfield, incomplete. He was hit. It was intended for Gary Clark. Kevin Brooks nailed Schrader just as he let it go.
You know what happens, I think, when you don't have a running game or you don't have that thing we're talking about, the Redskins, it looks like you don't have emotion. It looks like you're not emotional. I mean, guys aren't jumping all over the place, running up to the line of scrimmage. You get a passing game, and it's more passive. And I think one of the bad things a passing game does is kind of suck emotion out of you.
Cowboys had 12 men on the field. Now they got rid of one of them. They got Bates covering Didier wide to the right. Schrader doesn't look in that direction. He overthrows his intended receiver, is Ricky Sanders, and he had a couple of steps on Everson Walls. A reminder again, coming up next on CBS, game 2 of our doubleheader, the Giants at St. Louis, Atlanta and the Rams, and Detroit against Tampa Bay. Third down and 10. Monty Coleman, by the way, was injured earlier in the game, has returned to the Redskins sideline. Schrader is 3 out of 8. On 3rd and 10, he'll throw it again. Going deep. And this time he gets Gary Clark. But almost no way to overthrow that one. Ron Francis on the coverage. And a pickup of 47.
Well, that's the type of offense it is now. You throw a couple incomplete passes, you don't run. You just put Gary Clark, one of the best wide receivers in the game, out there on a rookie, Ron Francis. Just have him run as fast as he can, and you throw it as far as you can. But it all starts with this pass protection. You have to give the quarterback time to throw a deep pass. You have to give him time to throw it. You have to give him time to look, to step up, and to get rid of it. And that's what the Redskins did. Joe Jacoby having a big year.
One of his best, and he's had some good ones. 1st and 10 at the Dallas 34. And off to Rogers. Rogers runs left, stopped by Jim Jeffcoat after a gain of 3.
Yeah, you talk about a changing of the guard. I don't know if anyone talked about it, but I think we're seeing one here now with the Cowboys. As you look at number 73 in the blue there, Danny Noonan, the #1 draft choice of the Cowboys. I think he's in the process now of replacing Randy White. And, you know, and everyone says, I mean, the guy has everything. He's big, he's strong, he's fast, weightlifter type of guy. Look at those arms hanging out of that shirt. I got some arm on it.
2nd and 7. They give to Rodgers again. Jesse Penn will replace Mike Hegman. Made the stop, the gain of 4.
You know, one of the things that the owner of the Cowboys said about last week, Bum Bright, he said, hey, we're paying this Noonan guy a lot of money. We drafted him #1. We ought to play him more. And we'll see him out there today.
Dexter Manley has gone to the oxygen.
I remember in the old days when all they had over there in the sideline was a water bucket.
A bucket. And they had a dipper.
Yeah.
Schrader gets it outside to Clark. Clark cuts back inside. Very close to another first down. A gain of 4. Victor Scott made the stop on Clark. First down.
You know, we were talking to Joe Gibbs about Clark yesterday. He said 4 things. He said he's fiery, he's tough, he's quiet, and he's stubborn. Those are 4 pretty good ingredients. I mean, that makes an all-Madden team, I think, especially the last one. You know, when you get a guy who's quiet and tough and stubborn, that's someone you like to deal with.
Another thing about him, John, you know, when he's sick the day before the game, you better look out. Because he's going to be great the next day. Rodgers to the outside. Rodgers inside the 15 to about the 12 before he's brought down by Jesse Penn. Rodgers got 10.
Hey, watch this. Here's Joe Jacoby right here, the guy we were talking about, and it starts right there. Donnie Warren's coming in motion to help out. Once you see what Jacoby does to Jeffcoby, he gets a stalemate, runs him right down the line. That gives a corner that Rodgers can get around.
Jacoby is so big, it looks like it's difficult for him to get down in a stance even. And Rodgers again hit behind the line of scrimmage by Jeffcoat. So Jeffcoat got even. And Noonan with an assist. A loss of 1. At Summerall here with John Madden. We're at RFK Stadium in Washington, which is always sold out. And it is again today. Somehow, well, of course, the Cowboys' frustrating year, their record of 5-7. This game didn't capture the wild emotion that it usually does, but it still got a lot of attention.
Well, Dexter Manley said during the week he wished Gorbachev would get out of town so they could get back to the rivalry of the football games.
He says Dallas, Washington, this game is bigger than the Summit. Outside to Clint Didier. No gain, maybe even a loss on that pass completion. Stopped by Vince Albritton. And there is the hitting machine, Eugene Lockhart, who played almost 2 quarters last week before he realized he had a broken leg.
And Tom Landry didn't find out about it until he was doing a radio show, and someone gave him a note. He just took the note and crumpled it up and threw it down, and saying that's the type of year it's been. Because really, the middle linebacker runs that Cowboy defense.
31 yards away for Ali Haji Sheikh. Good. For 35 years has been with the Redskins training. Long-time good friend of mine, John's, and everybody associated with football, and we wish you well, Joe, as do all the fans. Darryl Clack at the 9-yard line. Outside the 30 to about the 33. Darrell Green on the stop. 23-yard return by Clack. 10-3. Redskins lead the Cowboys. Washington scoring drive. They occupied a lot of time on the clock. 5.5 minutes.
Of course, a big play on that drive for the Cowboys was when Jim Jeffco got that penetration and threw him for a loss.
Here's White back to throw. Screen pass coming Dorsett's way. Dorsett around the corner. Very nearly a first down before he's brought down by Darrell Green. Stops the clock as he's knocked out of bounds with 7:25 left to play in the first half.
You know, the question I always had about the Cowboys after they got Herschel Walker is why they had to make a decision between Walker and Dorsett. I think that there's always a place for both of them. And when you have speed and talent, the way Walker and Dorsett both have, I think you find a way to get them both in the game as much as you can. I don't think that's a big decision.
Nope. Second and about a yard. And White goes outside quickly to Cosby behind him. Dorsett went out of bounds. Here's the attempt for the first down, and I don't know if Walker got it or not. He is knocked backwards. I don't think he made it. Marcus Cook led the defense. Anyway, what I started to say, go ahead, John, I'm sorry.
Here's the thing. Again, you see that the Redskins on that one won that battle on the line of scrimmage. The Cowboys didn't get the movement at the point of attack nor away from the point of attack. So I'll tell you, on these short yardage situations, these are big downs, and the defense is winning those battles.
What I started to say a minute ago is on the screen pass to Dorsett, Vernon Dean, who wasn't even in the game, got hurt. He was standing in front of the Redskin bench, and when the pile came out of bounds, he limped out of it.
Yeah, he was standing up there in the sideline because Vernon Dean is one of those guys who goes in that nickel package. He was standing up there getting ready to go in.
Saxon. The kick to Eric Yarbrough. Fields it at the 20. He shakes away from one man, and he's caught in a sandwich. Jesse Penn and Todd Fowler. Surprised he survived.
That is one of those things that you call a decleater. There's a penalty flag down there, too. They're getting that straightened out. But watch him. Rafferty is underneath him. Jesse Penn is on top of him, and they've just given him a pile driver.
And then Fowler arrived. They were trying to plant him.
Ineligible downfield, number 50 kicking team. Penalty declined, 1st and 10.
155 pounds. You have to get up, you have to run off, and you have to smile. Because watch what the Cowboys did to him. Watch Jesse Penn here when they take him up, and they just try and plant him at RFK Stadium.
Wow.
He jumped up, ran off smiling, and said, hey, I took their best shot.
First down they give to Rogers, and Rogers is hit behind the line of scrimmage. Danny Noonan hit him behind the line, didn't bring him down. Jesse Penn did. White is 7 out of 15 for 95 yards. Schrader 6 out of 11 for 90. There's Alvin Walton. That's it. That'll get you on the All-Madden team, that haircut, won't it?
Well, I think if you do something with it, I mean, part of it is having it, then what you do with it. And it's what Walton does with it more than having it that'll get him on the team, I think. They're in computers now again.
Schrader has Clark again, and he's open again. Ron Francis and Everson Walls bring him down, but a gain of 33. See how he got so open.
I think Francis was on his zone. You see Francis come up to bump, then he's going to have deep help over there from Everson Wall. And I think Schrader just threaded the needle and hit him between the short guy and the deep guy, because Clark got by too quickly on Francis. When you get up like that, you have to get a hit on the guy.
Clark has 4 catches for 107 yards. First down, Redskins. Didier on the move this time, and Schrader is going to throw. Ducks under too tall Jones. Gets away from another man, and finally Noonan and Bates.
Bates is in there. He wants to go against Jacoby.
I don't think he really does.
He'd be outweighed half again. He'd be outweighed by about 150, 200 pounds on that deal. He's one of those scrappy guys for the Cowboys. He's a strong safety, a lot like Walton is. You know, and that seems to be a trend in the NFL, getting that half defensive back, half linebacker. So when you go to 8 men up, you have an extra linebacker there, like a Bates and like a Walton.
Schrader finally gets everybody set. Sanders is the man in motion finally. Schrader in the pocket, incomplete. Intended for Kelvin Bryant out of the backfield. There was some question about whether or not he'd be able to play. Pass incomplete.
I think, you know, when we were talking to Joe Gibbs yesterday, he said that he would like to get Bryant in there a little and play him some, but he doesn't want to get him beat up. And I think when he does play him, he's going to use him in that capacity as a pass receiver.
He and Rodgers both have been beat up throughout the year, and now Keith Griffin, who backs them both up, has had his problem. Third down. They need 10 from the Dallas 41. Here comes the blitz. Pass is complete again to Clark, but not nearly enough for a first down. A pickup of only 4. Dallas blitzed the cornerback, Victor Scott. Watch him come from the outside.
Well, here's what Schrader sees. See, he sees the corner coming on a blitz. So once he sees that, he said, I want to go to the area where this corner vacated. And I hope that I get rid of the ball before he gets there. You see, he sees the blitz coming. Whap, he's just going to throw it out there before the blitz got there. Of course, Dallas won that one because it was too short for a first down.
And Steve Cox comes in to punt for the Redskins. Elvin Martin back deep for Dallas. Signals fair catch. Redskins had it covered. We're down there, and the ball just bounced away from Brian. First down, Dallas. Danny White, the quarterback. And again, the Redskins encroach. Or so it would appear.
I think what happened then is they saw the motion man go by. It was Doug Cosby.
Encroachment. Defensive left tackle, 5 yards.
I think that's either Butts or man, but they got a double encroachment over there. Now watch what happens. You see Cosby coming. He stops, delay starts again. And as he goes by him, Dave Butts jumps. And then on the top of the screen, here comes Charles Mann for his 3rd encroachment of the day.
That brings up a 1st and 5. Redskins leading Dallas 10-3. Elvin Edwards split wide to the left. Cosby again in motion. Pitches back to Walker. Walker breaks out of the pack. Flag on the play. Walker got good yardage, enough for a first down, but a penalty marker down. Darrell Green made the stop.
Dave Butts gave the holding signal, and the referee gave the holding signal.
Holding, number 66 offense. 10-yard penalty from the spot of the foul. Repeat first down.
Gogan.
And that's right at the point of attack. Kevin Gogan is number 66. He's the outside guy right there. He's the guy blocking man. You see his left hand up there? He got a bunch of cloth in it. And then he got a stranglehold that could turn into a sleeper hold.
I think that was a good call. Here's Walker again. Alvin Walton tripped him up.
I think up there in that right side, that Cogan and Mann, I think they've broken a record for a halftime of penalties against them. So the Cowboys say, look, we got too much stuff going there. Let's go back to the left and we'll try it over there. Good block there by Nate Newton. In fact, it was a great block. Nate Newton on Darrell Grant.
And by Darrell Smith. Walker again. Not much room this time, but he is near first down yardage. Mel Kaufman tripped him up. A gain of 1. Olkowitz with an assist. It is a first down, Dallas. Packers and Vikings still tied. New Orleans 14-3 over Houston, and Cleveland overwhelming Cincinnati. Speaking of strange teams, the Bengals, everybody says, have great talent, but it doesn't seem to work.
A lot of strange teams in the league this year.
That's right. Danny White back to throw and going deep for Walker. Incomplete. Todd Bowles and Alvin Walton back there with Herschel.
Hey, when Herschel Walker goes deep, that will draw a crowd. That not only got the free safety over there, but the...
Pat Summerall and John Madden at RFK Stadium. Tell you what, John, that Darrell Smith has done a good job on Dexter Manley.
Well, you know, the Redskins haven't had a sack yet in the first half. I think this entire Cowboy line is doing a good job.
White struggles out of the pocket, and there is the first sack.
You always mention that. The first time you say it, you know it's going to come. And one of the guys who flushes him out right here is going to be Dexter Manley on the rush. He doesn't get him, but he's the first guy there, and he's the guy that makes Danny White bring the ball down and run it. You see him here, he just goes outside of Smith. Now right here, see, Danny White knew that was coming, then he started up, and then the linebacker, Mel Kaufman, made the tackle, or the sack.
Brings up a 3rd and 11. White gets it upfield. Incomplete, intended for Barksdale. Dennis Woodbury on the coverage. Incomplete.
I think Danny White did a good job just getting that ball out of there and doing anything with it. The snap didn't get to him. When he finally got it, he just turned and threw it as far as he could.
Everything was out of sync. Mike Saxon into punt. Eric Yarber, who took some violent treatment the last time he returned to punt. Redskins, by the way, have all of their timeouts removed. Almost blocked, and a flag on the play. Redskins almost got it. In fact, they might have gotten a piece of it. Only 27 yards. Raven Caldwell is the man who really put the pressure on Saxon.
I'm sure that's one that the Redskins won't take. It's against the Cowboys, but they don't want them to kick that one over.
Ineligible downfield, number 36 kicking team. Penalty declined, 1st and 10.
Vince Albritton, we're live at RFK Stadium in Washington, the home of the Redskins, and they lead the Cowboys by the score of 10-3. 1 minute, 8 seconds remaining in the first half. Washington has all of their timeouts left.
I'll tell you, this is a situation that's made for Jay Schrader. You know, I mean, he has time. He's towards midfield. He likes to air it out. He has Gary Clark there, and you can expect that's what he's going to do.
That's Didier who comes in motion. Schrader going for Clark, who's wide open. Clark, touchdown.
Gary Clark is out here, and he just comes flying off the line, and he just runs right by Everson Walls. Walls is looking back into the backfield. He's looking at Schrader. He's looking for the ball, but whatever he's looking at, it's now the back of Gary Clark. I don't know what Everson Walls was doing. You know that in that situation, they're going to go to Clark.
Ali Haji Sheikh for the extra.
Walls keeps his head and his eyes looking in here all the time, and he doesn't even get back with Clark. Watch him. He's standing in there. He's looking into the backfield. He keeps looking, and by now, Gary Clark's 5 yards behind him. That's unbelievable. You have to do something. You either have to bump him or you have to cover him. Because, like I said, this guy is a dangerous, dangerous guy.
Well, I don't know if he was expecting help from somewhere or what, but he kept looking into the backfield, and Clark just went right by him, as you said. Ali Haji Sheikh to kick it off. Kelvin Martin. And a flag on the play again. 11-yard return. Brian Davis made the stop. Redskins 17, Dallas 3.
I was just saying, you see that Dean Hamill walking off the field, number 78? You don't see too many 290-pound cover guys.
Yes.
There's Dean Hamill.
You don't see many guys that size running down on kickoffs and punts in this league.
He might make the All-Madden team.
Yeah, he has a good chance. Big guys covering.
Multiple fouls, holding, receiving team, personal foul, illegal low block, 36 on the receiving team. The major penalty will be accepted. First down.
That's serious.
Let's just watch Dean Hamill there, number 78, running down the field. Again, he gets ready. He gets all set to take on a block. The guy doesn't come there. There's a block by Newsom. He just stops him in his tracks and said, there's the guy. They got double fouls against the Redskins.
Against the Cowboys.
For the Redskins.
For the
Redskins. Fouls for the Redskins. All that stuff, big 290, 300-pound guy running down the field. The other team's double fouling him.
First down, Dallas, with 55 seconds left to play in the first half. White back to throw. He gets it outside to Renfro. Drags his toes inbounds. Dennis Woodbury on the cover.
That's what I said. That situation there, that last one was just made for Jay Schrader. Now you see here that after the penalty, and of course the Redskins, now with the time, they're just getting soft and just letting them have those things short in front of them.
That's Renfro, who went out of bounds and hit the drum, I think, for the band that's getting ready to play at the half.
They can see it there right on top of the screen. He catches the ball. He's thinking about his feet, keeping both feet in bounds, and little does he think there's going to be a drum there he runs into. That is something. You know, you come to RFK Stadium, you expect a lot in this rivalry.
Right.
But you think they'd keep the band off the field until the halftime's over.
Speaking of halftime, coming up at the half today, the NFL Today with Brent Nerve, scores and highlights. Also a look at Detroit leaving the Lions' den. Detroit was known for years as a hotbed of football, but no longer. Here's Danny White. Up the middle for Walker. Incomplete. Todd Bowles collided with Walker. And the clock is stopped with 44 seconds remaining.
Now here's where Dexter Manley is really at his best. When he knows that you have to pass, because he's a pass rusher. You see, Darrell Smith does a good job against him. And he gets help there at the end from Newton, because that's when Manley is really dangerous, when he can get that foot back and sprint up the field on you. But the Cowboys have really been doing a good job against him this first half.
Here's White back on second down. Again, White just barely gets rid of it. He's hit just as he let it go. Tony Dorsett caught the pass, and Charles Mann put a hit on Danny White.
Well, watch Charles Mann. You know, Danny White's trying to hold the ball as long as he can. Watch Mann working on Gogan. White says, now I better get rid of it, because here's Mann. Tell you, that's why a quarterback has to be tough. You know, I mean, they get a lot of money and they get a lot of glory and they get these things, but to stand in there and throw the ball when you know that collision is coming up, you have to be a tough guy.
And totally unprotected. There's nothing you can do. Here's White again. Renfro has it and gets out of bounds in front of the Dallas bench and stops the clock after a gain of 30. Monty Coleman, who's back in the game, and Todd Bowles got him out of bounds.
You don't see that happen often. Renfro turned around to straight arm Coleman, who was behind him. Usually the straight arm is a guy who's in front of you or on the side of you. But watch Mike Renfro here. He's going to run up, make him think he's going deep. Then he's going to run a hook pattern. Just stop, come back. Now watch, here comes Coleman. Watch, he turns around. He straight arms from behind. I don't know that I've ever seen that.
Renfro's caught 4 passes for 62 yards. First down, Cowboys at the Redskin 47. White deep for Barksdale and out of bounds. Darrell Green was the defender.
Again, the thing that impresses me is the job that this Cowboy offensive line is doing. You got 2 rookie tackles in there. 2 guys that, you know, you think are going to have a tough time. But I'll tell you, this Darrell Smith over here is doing a good job on Dexter Manley. Cogan's holding his own up there against Charles Mann. That I thought would be a big part of this game.
Second down and 10. Dallas at the Washington 47. White out of the shotgun. Kelvin Edwards makes the reception, and it's out of bounds. He caught it, but couldn't get the feet down.
Kelvin Edwards was one of those replacement players that once the strike was over, he just stayed there. Cowboys think he's going to be a real good one. He's just an inexperienced guy, but the ball was out of bounds there.
Edwards was drafted by New Orleans. The Saints chose not to keep him. Dallas picked him up, and as John Madden said, he played during the strike and played very well, and he's still there and starting. From the spread. White gets it up the middle. Pass is caught by Kelvin Martin, who's hit while he's still in the air by Todd Bowles.
And that completion will give the Cowboys a shot now at a field goal.
They take a timeout.
Hey, that was a big reception here, because from this point on third down, they wouldn't have been able to even try a field goal. But here you just see Kelvin Martin. He just works in there in the middle of a zone, goes up, and that was a big completion, big catch by Kelvin Martin.
Another of those Boston College players who've done so well.
Another of those little wide receivers. You know, those little guys, 5'8", 5'9", 160 pounds.
Roger Ruzek comes on to attempt the field goal. Dallas out of timeouts now. 10 seconds remaining. Washington leading 17-3. This will be a 42-yard effort. Steve Pallor is the holder. Ruzek's had a hot year. seconds remain, first half. The Redskins have all of their timeouts remaining still.
I think that could have been a big shot for the Cowboys, because even though it just would have made it 17-6, at least it would have given them a lot better feeling going into halftime.
Would have given them a lift. You think Schrader will go to work again?
It looks like he's just going to take that kneel down play the way they're getting set up.
Yeah. Which is what he does. The Dallas can't stop it. The Redskins head for the locker room, leading 7-3. That's the end of the first half with the score: Washington 17, Dallas 3.
CBS Sports coverage of the National Football League is sponsored by Toyota, setting the standard for quality and value. STP, makers of STP oil treatment. We've got what it takes to perform. And by Citizen, no other watch expresses time more beautifully. Catch College Bowl excitement on CBS Sports. Christmas Day, the Big Eight's Offensive Player of the Year, Thurman Thomas, powers Oklahoma State against West Virginia. On December 31st, South Carolina battles LSU. And New Year's Day, this year's Heisman Trophy winner Tim Brown leads the Fighting Irish of Notre Dame against Southwest Conference champion Texas A&M. This holiday season, look for the bowl games on CBS Sports.
A pinched nerve sidelines Tommy Kramer and Wade Wilson now quarterbacking the Minnesota Vikings, although Kramer did warm up prior to the start of the second half. But it is Wilson who is directing the Vikings in a very important game against the Green Bay Packers, a wild card berth at stake. And right now in the third quarter, these two teams are tied at 7. We can check in on some of the highlights of that game, and we can see that the Stay Puft Marshmallow Man was there.
One way to stay warm in County Stadium. But when Kramer was in the lineup in the first quarter, he went early in the ball game to Anthony Carter and hit him on a 41-yard touchdown pass. But the Packers responded. They had a nice drive going and got inside the 1-yard line. As soon as you get their offense on the field, there you are. Paul Carruth going over from 1 yard out and tying it up 7-7. Tommy Kramer's out, but Wade Wilson's playing quarterback.
Yeah, you would expect the Vikings to win this game because it's very important. The Packers, on the other hand, they have lost steam throughout the season down the stretch. Now, New Orleans and Houston. Folks, this Saint team is pretty good. Good defense. Hebert, 3 touchdown passes. Martin on the day, and he's thrown for almost 200 yards in that game in the first half. Miami and Philadelphia, the storyline here is the Dolphins regained the lead. Dan Marino does have a touchdown pass in that game to Duper of 20 yards. Cunningham hit quick from 44 yards out. 14-10, Dolphins with the lead. Buffalo and Indianapolis, and Kelly doing a job inside in Indianapolis this afternoon. He's hit Harmon from 12 yards out for the Bills' touchdown and a pair of field goals. Jets in New England. Bad showing by the Jets. They've been miserable. And the Patriots, meanwhile, welcome back Steve Grogan. 4 touchdown passes, 2 to Jones now. Listen to these distances, 16, 26, 28, and 27 yards on the day. Grogan is lighting up that Jet defense. Cincinnati and Cleveland. Kosar starting to light the Bengals up. This well could spell the end of Weich's coaching career down in Cincinnati. Kosar, 3 touchdown passes so far on the afternoon. Dallas and Washington, the game you are watching, and the Redskins dominating the lowly Cowboys. Irving?
Well, when things don't go well for a team, they really fall apart. Here's Herschel Walker fumbling the ball early in the first quarter. Redskins recover. Now, George Rogers has had trouble all year long with injury, shoulder injury, toe injury. He's healthy today. He goes in from 1 yard out, takes a 7-0 lead there, and at halftime, of course, leading 17-3.
All right, this is Jay Schrader pulling back out, and it's a beautiful pass to Clark.
Gary Clark destroyed Everson Walls. I don't know what Everson Walls is looking at. He's an experienced cornerback. He was looking in the backfield all the way. You never do that. You always look through the receiver to the quarterback on pass defense. I don't know what he was thinking.
The NFL Today continues on CBS after these messages from your local stations.
On Murder, She Wrote, a crime so intricate even Jessica is stumped.
Amazing.
Here are the clues. Can you figure out who done it?
I can't wait to see what I missed.
Then, lives threatened by a world of change.
If I have to cuss to get through Rome, I'll cuss. I've been working this land 35 years.
In a story of undying love.
And I don't want to forget nothing.
Hume Cronin, Jessica Tandy, John Denver.
I hated him, and I loved him.
Foxfire tonight.
This is CBS.
If you don't need Gatorade this winter, maybe you just don't get thirsty.
Gatorade is thirsty. Crawl back deep down by your thirst.
Now the entire region has the financial leader it needs today. Sovereign Bank. We're right for the times.
If you think getting that first job is tough, try buying your first wheels with no established credit. I remember getting the same old runaround. No credit, no wheels. Until I checked out my Ford dealer. He helped make my Ford truly affordable by working out a low monthly payment plan through Ford Credit, the specialist in financing qualified young buyers. Interested? Well, just ask a Ford salesperson about Ford Credit financing.
Where quality is standard. Your Ford dealer.
Join me for the premiere of Channel 5 Extra tomorrow at 5.
And we've got a doubleheader game coming your way here on CBS. Now, many of you will see the Giants and the Cardinals. We thought this might be the last time the Cardinals played in St. Louis, but as we reported earlier, a snag, and maybe St. Louis will be back there playing in St. Louis again next year. We'll also have Atlanta and the Rams, and Detroit against Tampa Bay. Good crowd on hand in Tampa Bay. Vinny Testaverde quarterbacking that team. But one of the major disappointments of the decade, really, in the NFL has been the performance of the Lions. They were one of the league's oldest and most stable franchises, and they've been singing the Motown blues for so long now that fans have all but forgotten that their Lions used to be kings of the pro football jungle. The Lions are a franchise with a proud tradition. Back in the 50s, they won 3 NFL championships. And players and sports writers who remember those great teams can't help but notice the difference now.
At one time, we had a lot of tradition going here. I think with the way the records are going now, or the way the win and loss column is, they're losing a lot of it.
The Lions currently are just scoffing at tradition. It's a shame. I would call it, in the realm of sports, a sports tragedy.
The only notable success the Lions have enjoyed recently has been in avoiding problems off the field.
The traffic was terrible out there, and the Lions have finally figured out a way to conquer the traffic problem with a rotten football team.
Somewhere along the line, you know, pride's in there someplace. And I don't know why that didn't crop up more. For some reason, it doesn't seem to be there. Team pride.
Nowadays, the Lions play at home in a half-empty stadium, while the team that packs them into the Silverdome is the Pistons of the NBA, and the owner should be worried.
If I was Bill Ford, I certainly would take a look at my organization and I guess make a decision based on what has happened in the last years.
He wants to win. It's a question of knowing how to win, how to put together a winner, and I don't think he knows how.
The heat from local critics is also directed at General Manager Russ Thomas, who told us he won't discuss the team's problems until after the season.
I really think the entire problem has been in the area of procurement of players. And Thomas has been either in charge of that officially or in a quasi-official role ever since the early 60s.
It is Ford's opinion, expressed many times to me, that he considers Russ Thomas among the 2 or 3 best general managers in all of football. It's a hard thing to sell to the Detroit audience.
That audience has run out of patience, and many fans would like to sweep out the den from top to bottom.
Get rid of the coach and general manager.
Better players.
I think they see themselves as losers, and that's exactly what they're doing.
So until this season ends and what Ford does over the next 6 months, it's impossible to say where the Lions are headed. For the moment, they're headed to the pits, and we'll stay there.
Irv, would you change coaches?
I wouldn't change any coaches this year. There are too many problems away from the football field. I think all the coaches ought to stay pat, but I would make a change at the general manager's office. If you're going to reform, you have to start there.
All right, our time for the second half down to Washington. I'll send you back now to Pat Summerall and John Madden. Pat?
John, you look at the Dallas Cowboys. The score is 17-3 Washington, but it doesn't appear that the Cowboys have done that poorly.
Well, they haven't. You know, they've gotten some things going. I know one thing they want to do is control the line of scrimmage, and I think they've done that pretty well. They're a team that really isn't a good team, and they're having a tough year. I think they've done as much in the first half as they could. I think when they missed that field goal, though, at the end of the half, I think that's something that could take a lot of air out of them.
What do they do now?
Well, I don't know. I think they just have to come back and fight them as much as they can. I think the Redskins have to feel good about themselves. I think at some point Joe Gibbs is going to have to admit that, hey, we aren't a running team anymore. We're a passing team now.
All right, John, thank you. CBS Sports coverage of the National Football League will continue after this message and a word from your local station.
Think we're going to make it? If this thing does, well, at least we're